Hello everyone. How's everybody doing today? It is Thursday, July 30th. I am Andre Robinson. I was about to say the Torch, the fire starter. That is my sports nicknames, folks. This is the news, bringing it full circle. And I am here with
Stephanie Tapley. How are you?
I am wonderful today, Stephanie.
Awesome.
It has been a long day. I want to say shout out to everybody who is watching the news right now, bringing it full circle on Facebook. Make sure you like and share, and anything that you have to say, make sure you put it in the comment section. As next week we will be bringing back our citizens' voice and our Rise Up segments to the news. All right, Stephanie, you ready for some world news?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
I'm ready for some world news myself. So, obviously, you see this photo here. There are some major concerns in different countries, especially Germany right now. Germany officials are very concerned by the rising cases of COVID-19. We are in the middle of a rapid developing pandemic, said the head of Robert Koch Institute, Laura Windermer, said reporters. And Mr. Windermer said that Germans are negligent and urged people to wear masks and respect social distancing and hygiene. Hygiene, folks. Hygiene. Scrub. Rules. Yep. Hygiene. Wash. By the way, not just wash your hands, but wash other parts too, in places too. Yep. In the past week, the country has recorded 3,611 new infections. The warning comes as countries across Europe grapple with the new infections and the problem of travelers moving across the continent for summer holidays. Yes, it is a summer holiday. Plenty of summer holidays are coming up for sure. And on Tuesday, Germany issued a travel warning for the 3 regions in Spain and 2 other places which have not been mentioned. But UK has also changed its travel and advice for Spanish islands. Spain races to save tourism as cases surge, definitely. The UK has imposed a 14-day quarantine on all arrivals from Spain. Yep. That was a move the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez called unjust. He don't like it for some reason. Germany announced on Monday a program for free mandatory coronavirus testing for travelers returning from the list of high-risk countries. The list includes Brazil, Turkey, and the U.S. Notice the U.S. is on the list. Officials said it will be updated daily. All right. So again,
are we still banned from traveling in Germany? Or are they not letting Americans in still?
I guess not. They ain't playing no games with America. They said, if you're coming from over there, that the place where it has the most cases in the world right now was supposed to be.
I can use my passport as a cup holder, a cup coaster at this point.
Yeah, you probably could. I
can't get to go anywhere, so.
Right. I mean, overall, Germany has recorded 206,242 cases of coronavirus, and they have over 9,120 deaths.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not playing no games. Over the past week, the country has reported an average of 557 new cases daily, compared to the 350 that it was acquiring in June. So the spread is on the uprise in certain countries. Again, what are we doing? What are we doing with this coronavirus situation?
Are we still number one? Do we lead the world in number 1 cases?
Of course we do. We do.
I think that's just the way America does things now. Is we have to be number 1. So there it is.
Have to be number 1 in everything.
This is not a category I want to be number 1 in, personally.
Right. Absolutely not. And we, again, had plenty of opportunity to negate the whole situation by actually being smart and doing things that were, kind of advised to us years before. If we would have actually paid attention, got our pride out of our behinds, then we probably wouldn't be dealing with this. Speaking on a certain someone who hasn't got his pride out of his behind yet, Oh, there it is. President Trump. There he is. Social media users have condemned merchandise promoting Donald Trump's re-election campaign, saying it's reminiscent of the Nazi imagery. Available for both men and women, a 100% cotton t-shirt retailing for $30 carries the words America First. Above is a symbol of an eagle. Looks to the left and spreads out with its wings and talons holding a circular version of the American flag. Available on Trump's re-election campaign website, the product description says proudly made in the USA. It appears to would-be buyers that they are showing their support for re-election incumbent president, saying, "Let everyone know we are voting for in 2020." Not you. We finally have a president that puts America first. America is strong again, safe again, great again, it adds.
But not safe from coronavirus, just to point out.
Yeah. Twitter users say that the position of the eagle is uncomfortably close to the national insignia of Nazi Germany, a country we just talked about who has plenty of coronavirus cases.
Do we have a picture of the symbol, the comparison?
I think by the end of the show, okay, I'm going to have a picture in which I will show you all. Definitely. I think we should get that picture.
It is very similar. There are a lot of similarities. I could see where the correlation lies, for sure.
Adolf Hitler ordered a stylized eagle combined with the Nazi swastika to become the national emblem, which can be referred to as the Nazi eagle. It references the bird looking right to its right with its wings spread and its talons holding a wreath, which the Nazi swastika is inside.
Couldn't we have just gone with it like a lion or something?
We not about to listen. Miss me with this. Miss me with it. We're not about to act like this is a coincidence, right? This is real coincidental. That's what y'all going.
In the marketing department thought this is a golden idea. Let's go forward with this.
Yeah, real golden idea.
Even if it's not an intention. I mean, who in the marketing department was like, yes, I approve of this? I need names.
Yeah, I think we're gonna look into that a little bit more as well. We need some names into that marketing side that's relatively supporting Trump.
Control check, like at the end of this decision, board meeting. I don't know. Maybe someone was asleep during the meeting. I don't know.
Or maybe everyone was just asleep during the meeting.
Maybe.
By the way, in the comment section, I will put whose Twitter you can find this on. You can definitely find the shirt and the emblem on this Twitter account. I'll put it up there for you. And yeah, Stephanie, the nonsense, I tell you, the nonsense. Do you think that this will help in any way, shape, or form with Trump? As far as Trump,
his re-election campaign, or help with his? I mean, the facts remain that his base is unbothered by anything that he does. So as far as his base is concerned, I don't think it's a problem at all. What is harder is the moderates, and when it comes to people that are on the fence about their political decision to be made in November. It's hard not to see a correlation with this imagery and the symbolism. And it's like, if it's not intentional, then why not spend a little bit more care into trying to make sure that your campaign slogan or campaign imagery is significantly far removed from anything problematic. And yet they chose something that was extremely close to something problematic. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It seems intentionally divisive, but.
That's very intentionally divisive.
Yeah.
Very. Speaking of things that are very divisive, we are going to get into another situation of news, or another case of news that is very divisive. The world's most technologically sophisticated genocide is going on in China right now. All right. Two recent disturbing events finally awakened the world on a scale and horror of atrocities being committed against certain people with certain folks of the Muslim community. It's happening right in China. One is the authoritative report documenting the systematic sterilization of Muslim women. The other was the seizure by U.S. Customs and Border Protection of 13 tons of products made from human hair suspected of being forcibly removed from Muslims imprisoned in concentration camps. What? Okay. Both events evoke chilling parallels to the past atrocities elsewhere: forced sterilization of minorities, disabled, and indigenous people, with an image of glass, displayed of the mountains of hair preserved at places in Germany,
like the Holocaust.
I'm gonna stop there. I'm stopping right there. Stephanie, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, it's a classic case of rounding up people that believe differently than you and trying to eradicate them from society. I mean, that's pretty bluntly put. What's not surprising is this is nothing new as far as the sterilization or the population control. I mean, yeah, it's very sad to think that humanity consistently tries to use and enslave other humans because they're different. And we've been dealing with this for years in various parts of the world, and I almost feel like we're desensitized to it, and that's the even scarier part, is that it's like the school shootings. We just hear another one. It's like, oh, that's part of life now.
Well, the Genocide Convention, to which China is signatory, defines genocide as a specific acts against members of a group with the intent to destroy that group in a whole or in part. These acts include killing, causing bodily harm or mental harm, deliberately infecting conditions of life to bring about the group's physical destruction, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, forcibly transferring children of a group to another group. Any one of these categories constitutes genocide.
Yep.
The overwhelming evidence of Chinese government deliberate and systematic campaign to destroy the Muslim people clearly meets each of these categories.
Why can't we let people just believe what they want to believe? I understand beliefs inform your actions, and your rights should not extend past someone else's rights, but a whole group of people believe something that you don't agree with, let them be. It's tragic. It's tragic.
Now, with that being said, if you have any comments on what's going on in world news, again, you could go back and watch Bring It in Full Circle tonight on the OnPoint Network, 9 Central. We will be on the OnPoint Network. All right, you can go back and watch it. And if you have comments, suggestions, or anything you want to say about what you've heard on the news here on Bring It in Full Circle, you can go to BIF Circle, all right, on Twitter. And when we return, we will get into some more news. Alabama news coming up. All right, when we come back, Bring It in Full Circle.
Hey, what's up? This is the one and only Cupid, aka Mr. I Can Make You Dance, man. And right now, you're checking into the OnPoint Network. Make sure you stay on top of that, man, on Roku, Fire Stick. Anywhere you watch your TV, you can catch the OnPoint Network. Tune in, stay locked. That's what we do. New Cupid.
back, bringing it full circle. We are back. Stephanie, how's it going? You feeling good? All right. Well, guess what, folks? We got Alabama news coming up. Roll Tide, all right? If you in the Alabama region, this is for you. All right. This is definitely for you. Get ready because we got some Alabama news to talk about. What shall we talk about first? All right. We'll talk about the ABC board sales. Let's talk about it. ABC board sales. Shout out to everybody that's watching on Facebook Live right now, too. Robert Leader said this segment is brought to you by Perel, by the way. Yes, make sure you wash your hands in other places, as we discussed earlier. All right. ABC board alcohol sales to end at 11 p.m. in Alabama during the pandemic. A vote Monday morning by the Alcoholic Beverage Control in Alabama will restrict alcohol sales after 11 p.m. for all restaurants, bars, and country clubs. Yes, that means no more going out getting drunk and in places after 11 o'clock. Stay your butt at home. This order is to last for 120 days. Oh my goodness, they need to put one here in Buffalo. That is 4 months, folks. 4 months. 4 months. Yes, they need to put one here in Buffalo. Trust me. The move is an effort to curb COVID-19 cases. The emergency rule is in effect immediately, but will not be enforced until Saturday.
What is that going to change, though? The time COVID doesn't.
Go ahead.
Schedule, but okay.
Sure it doesn't.
So we can still go to the bar and probably not social distance because, it's what we do.
Because who does that at a bar? Beginning at 11 p.m. Saturday, all ABC licensees are required to cease the service or sale of alcoholic beverages for on-premise consumption between the hours of 11 a.m. and 6 a.m. with on-premise consumption to end at 11:30 p.m. according to ABC. Our hope is to reduce hours of alcohol sale, which will decrease social gatherings and the transmission of COVID-19, said ABC Board Administrator Mac Gibson. Our number one goal is to protect the public and our license holders. We believe this emergency order will reduce the exposure to and the spread of COVID-19. The ABC board believes it will reduce, believes that the reduced hours will work. The violation of change could lead to an establishment getting its license to serve alcohol suspended.
I just don't feel like the logic computes there for me personally.
Stephanie. Dun, 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 dun. I don't want to say the rest of it. It's not appropriate. I won't say it. This is FCC Airwaves. But if it wasn't, I'd say it. Okay. Number one, first and foremost, do not realize that people are just going to go to other people's houses and do this?
Or
they're going to just
go before 11. They'll just all go at 8, 9 o'clock. They'll all be there at once.
Did we forget there's a such thing as happy hour? There is a such thing as happy hour.
I just think the timing. I'm like, what? I know where they're assuming that if you close the bar early, less people will go out to the bar to drink and they'll drink at home. Or they'll go earlier and still populate the bar and be drunk and therefore forget to wear a mask or. Okay, we'll see, Alabama. Let me know how it goes. Hope it goes well for everyone.
Yeah, Alabamans, do you think that this is going to work? If you don't or if you do, please hit us on Twitter, BIF Circle on Twitter. We would love to get your reaction on this, as I know for a fact that happy hour is from now.
I will say, at least they're trying to do something, and they're not just willy-nilly just leave them all open, just forget about it. But I don't quite follow the logic, so I'm mildly hesitant here, but hopeful. Don't want to lose hope.
But I still support the fact that I think Buffalo still needs that. I do. It's just, so, gotta be careful on that. People are just gonna go to people's houses and act cool. All right. Now, with that being said, more than 40 people, including the pastor, test positive for coronavirus after Alabama church revival. I thought we were virtually doing services. I thought we were virtually praising the Lord. Virtually. Okay. More than 40 people were infected with coronavirus after attending a multi-day revival event at a North Alabama Baptist church, according to Pastor Daryl Ross of the Warrior Creek Missionary Baptist Church in Marshall County. The church is also located in a small community called Strawberry, Raspberry, and all those good things. All right, about 60 miles northeast of Binghamton. The pastor says that churchgoers, including himself, tested positive after the congregation held a series of religious services, including featuring a guest pastor over the course of several days last week. Ross said that the services were shut down by Friday after learning one of the members who attended had tested positive for the virus. The member presented no symptoms and got tested when several of his coworkers received positive tests, according to the pastor. He said some social distancing measures were in place during the services, which were held multiple times a day. Most members skipped the events out of concern for the virus. Those that sat down with their families, but masks, well, here's the kicker. Masks were not required.
I've also noticed in places where masks are required, there needs to be a sign on the door that says a mask is supposed to go over both the nose and the mouth. Not here. That defeats the purpose. Maybe we need a mask tutorial on YouTube.
Maybe bringing it full circle could put one together.
Real simple. Ready? I don't have one. It's in my car. Just there you go. That's where it's supposed to go. I won't charge you. That's free.
Speaking of masks and covering faces and things of that nature, an Alabama lawmaker says he will not resign after celebrating a Klan leader. Okay, State Rep Will Dismukes, who is a Republican from Prattsville, said Tuesday he has no plans to resign as the growing chorus of officials call for him to step down after he attended a celebration for Nathan Bedford Forrest. Forrest was a leader of the Confederate Army and the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. Dismukes denied to comment further on the cause for his resignation. Sunday, Dismukes has a terrible last name, by the way. Dismukes posted on social media, had a great time at Fort Dixie, speaking and giving an invocation for Nathan Bedford Forrest's annual birthday celebration. Always a great time and some sure enough good eating. And some sure enough good eating? Really? You trying to be funny? That's how you know what? The post was made the same day the state was honoring the life of civil rights icon, Congressman John Lewis.
Of course it was.
Of course it was. Dismukes, who has the terrible name, last name, continues to deny that he's a racist.
Okay. There's some things that are, yeah. Why the same thing? Is that another, like, one of those coincidences where the same thing with the Nazi symbol and the t-shirt place? Like, it's just a coincidence. Don't worry about it. Look away.
I scratch my head at a lot of things, and this is one of them. This is definitely another one of those things. Oh, boy. Anyway, so that was Alabama news, folks. By the way, roll tide. Continue to roll tide and keep the faith, folks. Keep the faith. You know what time it is. It's Stephanie Tapley time. It's Texas time. It's down south time.
All right.
Can I ask you a question, Stephanie? Real quick?
Yeah.
Where's the best place to get some good old down-home ribs down there? I just want to know.
You need to go to the Salt Lick in Round Rock, right outside of Austin. Best best, hands down. Now, Lockhart in Dallas is pretty good. I'm pretty sure it's a chain, but Salt Lick, yeah, Round Rock, Texas, that's where to go.
All right. Definitely. I'm going to make sure if I go down to Texas, I'll make sure. Can you put that in the comment section somewhere, Stephanie, so when I come down there to Texas?
Yes, I will. I will link that for everyone. The Salt Lick Barbecue. I think it's called the Salt Lick. But yeah, I'll double check. I'll put the link for you, for sure. But yeah, it's phenomenal. Those burnt ends, that's the best part on the brisket. So, okay. Anyway, so we're segueing a little bit back into some slightly depressing news, kind of tangenting off of yesterday's story about ICE and sex trafficking. So I want to highlight the story that's been trending on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok about a young woman, a young girl by the name of Zephaniah Trevino. She's a 16-year-old Latin girl who has been accused of aggravated robbery and capital murder. Now, I want to be very, very clear in this case. I've spoken with her mother, so I have some testimony from her and a little bit of details from the family on what they have been able to post online. However, I have not been able to locate any case records or arrest records as of yet. So there still is some unknown details in this case. But I think it's very relevant to what's going on in Texas right now that all ties into the COVID pandemic, as well as our defense funds that are funneled into our cities. So in the case of Zephaniah, this case was actually started back in May of 2019. According to her mother, she's been in the Dallas County Juvenile Detention Center since August of last year. She was approached by a sex trafficker who used physical threats of death and violence against her family and drugs. She had recently been exposed to drugs through an abusive relationship with her boyfriend. Zephaniah's trafficker killed her purchaser in a conflict. Neither of them have been charged. Instead, the charges have fallen upon Zephaniah herself, the victim of sex trafficking. According to her mother, let me go get this statement that she made. So according to her mother, she is being charged as a juvenile. Their trial is set for September of 2020. However, due to COVID, there have been delays and pushbacks, so it may get pushed back till next year. The family allegedly has not seen her since February of 2020. They also allege that there has been an outbreak of COVID at the detention center with staff and with detainees. And so that is also causing delays in communication. The retainer alone for an attorney for a capital murder case is typically $50,000. So, and there also is no bail. She was denied bail in this case. Again, all of this is testimony from the mother, but this is a very, very common, the details of this case are very common. If you guys remember the Centoya Brown case, I forget which state that was. I believe it was Tennessee, but very similar. She was sentenced to life in prison at age 16 for murdering her assailant, and she actually did it. In this particular case, allegedly, this young woman had nothing to do with the actual murder, but she was charged with it. The details of this case are still ongoing. The more information I'm able to obtain, I will update you via Twitter, back on this thread as well. But that kind of segues into the other problems that are going on with sex trafficking in Texas specifically. So Texas is actually number 2 in the country for human trafficking. Dallas alone ranks second in the entire state. At any given time, there are about 243,000 victims in Texas. Nearly 80,000 of them are minors, and 400 teens on average are sold on the streets of Dallas each night. So the battle for against human trafficking during this pandemic has been even harder for a multitude of reasons. One, there's an uptick in sex trafficking cases because of the amount of online access that predators have to their victims, since people are staying at home and doing a whole lot on the internet, especially through social media. A Dallas-based nonprofit, New Friends, New Life, and I will link that as well into Twitter and in the link here. They're on a mission to continue their promise to help survivors despite the recent lack of resources. During this pandemic, the biggest challenge has been for them to be able to raise funds to help rehabilitate, rescue, and clothe and house some of these victims and survivors of sex trafficking, is the inability to do public events. So fundraisers, 5Ks, expos, tabling events, all of that. That's where they get a majority of their donations. According to, let me find the charity info. So according to charitynavigator.org, this is a website where you can basically see all of the financials and details of each 501c3. So according to their 2018 government grants, they got only $271,524 in that year from the government. I would like to remind everyone that doesn't know that Dallas has a $500 million police budget alone. So when we talk about prevention of trafficking, I know that this is, again, not a negative or an anti-police statement, but when it comes to crime, police do not prevent crime. They show up after a crime has been committed. What prevents crime is social programs and opportunity. So when we have a pandemic that has restricted the ability to have fundraising events, we are not being able to properly help these victims. So that is quite an issue in this area specifically in our state. Also in Houston and San Antonio, similar issues with fundraising efforts for rehabilitation centers down there. We've again seen an uptick in Houston and Houston and San Antonio's numbers as far as trafficking victims. And the cases keep rising. So I would encourage everyone, if you have an opportunity, to at least look at, there's two charities that are at least in need of funds and recognition. The New Friends, New Life organization in Dallas, as well as Treasured Vessels Foundation in Dallas. Both of those organizations do everything that they can to help rescue and rehabilitate victims of sex trafficking. And like we were talking about before, Andre, this COVID situation has caused quite a bit of not just sickness, but prevention in efforts to prevent these trafficking cases. As well as the school boards across our state are going back and forth on whether to open as planned in August or to delay opening. And I know there's been quite a bit of debate from teachers, moms, and faculty as to whether that's safe to reopen. I would at least like to say that while I agree that there are safety concerns as far as having your children go back in school, a majority of reported abuse cases are reported by teachers. A lot of abuse is happening in the homes of children, and when they are unable to be around other advocates, other adults that could advocate for them, then that does increase their risk of being trafficked or not being able to be helped. So again, I want to at least encourage everybody to please look at those organizations to help our youth in Texas and our young women. Andre, that's really all I have on that story. It's still developing, but it is it's problematic for sure. What are your thoughts on all that?
You were right about Satoya Brown. It's she was in a Nashville prison. Legislation has to change. Legislation has to change. The judicial system is absolutely ridiculous. So you be a victim of sex trafficking, you fight yourself out of the situation, and you go to jail for fighting yourself out of the situation. Mm-hmm. That's got to stop. There's too many cases I've seen in the last couple of years. And by the way, if you don't know about Satoya Brown, you can watch it on Netflix. The Satoya Brown story was actually on Netflix.
It's a very interesting case.
Yes.
But even in Zephaniah's case, and again, we're still trying to get official police records or more facts in this case, but the concept of, you know, being denied bail, when was innocent until proven guilty not a thing anymore? So
absolutely. Where's the flight risk? Is she a flight risk? Is she a detriment to society? Is she a danger to society? She's a minor, correct?
She's a 16-year-old victim of sex trafficking. And
by the way, I want to thank you so very, very much for checking on that story too. You got some information from her mom. That is great field reporting work that you're doing right there already. All right, pay attention, folks. Pay attention.
Well, I think it's important to get as many facts straight as you can, and of course, if we come up on information that isn't correct, we'll correct it, because I think that's important. But even in her case, I mean, the same thing with our if you've watched the documentary 13th, when it comes to people being incarcerated before they're even given a fair trial, they could sit in jail for 3, 4, 5 years. In her case, she's allegedly been in jail since August of 2019, pending a court case for September of this year. So she's been in jail over a year without a conviction at 16 years old. How is that helpful for a victim of sex trafficking, even if she did kill her trafficker or her purchaser, like in the case of Centoya Brown? Where's the line? And these mandatory minimums for
where is self-defense coming in this play?
Well, and where does reasonable justice come if we're saying that we have not convicted her yet? Then why are we not standing by that innocent until proven guilty?
Yeah, I totally agree.
And mandatory minimums, 40 years for a 16-year-old, for a juvenile. And I know it's a gray area. There are exceptions to every rule. However, this is why victims don't come forward. They see cases like this. So.
All right. More Texas news?
That's all I have on those two cases. The fundraising case for the trafficking victim is closely tied into COVID, as well as the schools reopening.
All right.
Sorry that it's sad.
It's okay. I'm going to go to a commercial break real quick. When we come back, we will have Wisconsin and New York news on the way. All right.
Putting too much into it. Yeah. Let's get this fire started. Sports became my passion. Convo bring it to life, highlighting all the action. Opinions could explode like a chemical reaction. If we started from the bottom, now rise up the newest caption. Man, it's known that every team and every person got an nemesis. But this that similarity that smokes all of our differences. Statements can get real, better back it up with evidence. Prove it for the record, watch this hour of deliverance. Haters outside the lines, but we do it quite frankly. Cause I'm around the horn, so just part the interruption. Cause the hatred they be spreading is an unwanted production. Plus I gotta do it all, and it ain't up for discussion. Man, and blood, sweat, and tears, man, they measure up my accolades.
From Montgomery to Hill, Green County and Perry, Portia taking on the black building. She ain't scared. Marengo County, something county, Will, Cops, and Barbara. Interviewing everybody, sister, brothers, and mamas. It's Portia.
All right, sorry for that pause in commercial break. I actually just got some disturbing news from right here in 716 area code. What I'm gonna say is one of my friends just had some medical issues take place, and actually the brother of mine was actually supposed to be on next week as a guest on this show next week. So send your prayers. I will give you more information when I actually have permission to give names and other information. But I will tell you right now that we should send prayers out to this young gentleman. I've grown up with him for a long, long period of time. So that's all I'm going to say on that right now. No other information will be given until I get permission from his family to report. With that being said, Wisconsin news is on the way. Thank you for bringing it full circle, by the way. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in. Make sure that if you have any comments, any questions, any suggestions on what's going on, please hit us at BIS Circle on Twitter. All right. Unsolicited seeds appear to be from China arriving at Wisconsin homes, said the state. Reports nationwide of seeds that appear to come from China showing up unsolicited in unsolicited ways in mailboxes have confused U.S. agriculture leaders. The reports now have reached Wisconsin with the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection on Tuesday, issuing guidance for Wisconsinites. Really come up with these names, Wisconsinites, really. If seeds show up at their homes, the type of seeds in the packages are unknown and may contain invasive plant species. The Wisconsin DATCP said in a release Tuesday, unsolicited seeds could be invasive species contain noxious weeds, including diseases to local plants, could be harmful to livestock. Invasive species or noxious weeds can displace native plants and increase costs on food production. I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna stop right there again. This is another stop right there moment. What are we doing about this? So is it now obvious that China has a problem? China, do we have a problem? Do we have an issue? Is my question. Do we have an issue, Stephanie? Is there an issue?
I mean, are they coded? Is there like a notes in a bottle situation? Are there letters on the seeds?
Like, is this biological warfare? Like,
do you remember when we were all freaking out about the anthrax in the mail? What was that? The 90s, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
A long time ago. But now we've got seeds, so maybe less scary, but still weird. Still weird.
Yeah, quite weird. Very weird. Super weird. Quite auspicious, if you ask me.
I know if I opened up that and all I saw was seeds, I'd be disappointed. Like, this is not what I ordered from Wish. I did not order seeds.
Moving on, in which Wisconsin has the 50,000 mark with COVID-19 cases after 762 cases were reported on Tuesday. Yeah, 13 more people were killed by the disease, according to the Department of Health Services official count, which rose up to 906. It is the fifth time in the past 11 days that newly reported deaths reached double digits after single digits in each of the 20 previous days. Deaths have peaked in mid-April, late May, early June, and have declined throughout June and the first half of July. In all, 14,424 test results were revealed Tuesday. The percentage of positive tests for coronavirus is 5.3, which was down from 9.6 on Sunday and 8.5 on Monday, and the lowest since 4.8 on July 22nd. All right, Wisconsin. Let's get these preventative measures together now. Come on, let's get them together now. We all in this together.
Brought to you by Pharrell. He was right.
Yes, he was right. Absolutely. I try not to laugh because it's not a laughing matter as far as coronavirus is concerned.
At this point, we still got to have some semblance of hope and jovial,
Yes, we do.
Connection.
It's all good to be jovial. Chicago's top doc discourages Wisconsin vacations with new COVID-19 quarantine rule. Chicagoans.
Chicagoans. No, none of it works.
Yeah. With vacation plans in Wisconsin, soon will be forced to quarantine for 2 weeks when they return. The Badger State and 3 others on Tuesday became the latest addition to Chicago's mandatory quarantine list. The city is ordering people who are traveling to Chicago from certain states to self-quarantine for 14 days. The Lightfoot administration also added Missouri, North Dakota, and Nebraska to the list now, which includes 22 states. The new travel restrictions take effect Friday. In a conference call with reporters on Tuesday, the Chicago Public Health Commissioner, Dr. Allison, encouraged Chicagoans to change outstanding travel plans, which included travel to Wisconsin. People commuting for work and shared parental custody agreements are exempt from Wisconsin quarantine. Given the state's close proximity and shared commuter rails, it's the only state with such a carve-out. Travelers who define this quarantine order should face $100 to $500 for fines a day and a maximum penalty of $7,000, said the commissioner. Though the city is imposing these travel restrictions since the first week of since the first week of July, no one has been fined yet.
I didn't catch that either.
Yeah. So since the first week of July, no one has been fined. Well, guess what? I want to say a couple things. Number one, first and foremost, I wouldn't be traveling to Chicago right now. Number one. Number two, the Packers are better than the Bears. And number three, I want to say this as well. No fines have been given since when? Since July, since the first week of July. Who is actually patrolling this? Who is actually patrolling this? I mean, it sounds good. I mean, it sounds real threatening, folks. Real threatening. We're going to fine you up to $7,000, even though we're not catching anyone anyway. Good job with that. Good job with that. How do you feel about this, real quick?
Well, as far as the fines, I mean, there's been some debate here in Texas, too, for fining over not wearing masks and whatnot. And a lot of people are thinking that's outrageous, but we get fined if we don't wear a seatbelt. We get fined if we don't have protection, liability insurance. You know what I mean? So some of it is, I don't think it should be used as an enforceable like jail situation, because that causes other problems as far as poverty is concerned. But I mean, if it is the public health, we should be, at least, if we can't rely on people to just be responsible and empathetic as just community members, then yeah, enforcing some fines makes some sense. Now, if they're actually enforcing them or doing anything, when you said they're not doing anything or haven't done anything since July 1st, then it's really just kind of talking out of the side of their mouth and voting with their feet,
That is your favorite thing. I'm definitely
one of many.
definitely on and hip to now. Your favorite thing. All right. 716, you know what time it is. Western New York, it is Western New York and New York news. Come on, stand up, put some likes and hearts in the air. If you are on Facebook from the 716 Western New York region, as I report to you some Western New York news. This case is actually in New York, as NYPD make an arrest, and as the camera caught a shooting of Buff State student. All right, the NYPD chief of detectives Rodney Harrison, definitely Rodney Harrison. What a football name, by the way. Announced an arrest Wednesday after a Buffalo State college student was shot and critically injured in Queens. In a tweet issued Wednesday afternoon, Harrison said their prime suspect has been identified as Jeffrey Thurston, and who is now in custody. Great investigative work done by the 105th Precinct Detective Squad, Queens Southside Homicide, Sergeant Castle, Detective Govini, and the rest of the team Castle from Regional Fugitive Task Force for apprehending Thurston in less than 48 hours. So they would have got it done on first 48, by the way. Real quick. Officers were called to a deli in Queens for a male shot Monday afternoon. Video surveillance shows the victim, which is now identified as Buffalo State sophomore Makai Capers, attempt to walk past the suspect and a verbal argument began. Surveillance cameras also show suspect punched Capers in the face inside the store. The two continued their physical altercation outside of the store when surveillance video shows the suspect pulls out a gun and shoots Capers once. Great kid, hard worker. His teammates loved him, said Buffalo State football head coach Christian O. Best way to describe Capers as by being sharing how he was before he got recruited. That was how they described them in a nutshell. The Queen native took a 14-hour round trip on Greyhound bus from New York City to Buffalo, showing the head coach office with hopes of Bengals football would see his potential. The team did. Capers played with the team until a shoulder injury ended his football career. If you want more on that story, just hit us on BIF Circle. I will put the link in there. We have other news to go to. Stephanie, real quick, how you feel about it?
I think what the gun laws in Texas, I mean, not Texas, New York, is there, I'm assuming it's not open carry, correct?
No, it's not.
Okay, that changes a little bit of the results, but I wonder what they were fighting over.
Whatever it wasn't worth that. I'll tell you that much. Definitely never worth someone's life or someone being critically injured.
No.
All right. Well, we have some more disturbing news. Hopefully, people will see this as a wake-up call. Erie County overdose deaths are linked to cocaine. Leaders in Erie County are warning about a continued increase in the number of overdose deaths, but at this time, there's a new trend. We're seeing a new population of people who are victims in our overdose deaths, people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. They're professional, and they've been found at home alone, said the Erie County Health Commissioner, Dr. Gail Bernstein. The Erie County Health Department says also that 44 people have died from opioid overdoses and another 127 deaths are pending. Those deaths are confirmed as overdoses. That would bring, if they're confirmed as overdose deaths, that would bring the death total up to 171 as of July 28th, compared to the 156 related deaths that Erie County had all last year. So that means in 7 months, they will have already eclipsed what they've done and what happened last year with opioid deaths being at 156. Not good. Here's my question to you, Stephanie. What do you think is the contributing factor of this uprise or increase in overdose?
Poverty and lack of community support and social organizations for rehabilitation. And in fact, I think New York is one of the states, or New York City, excuse me, in July of 2018 that was trying to get approval for supervised injection sites for at least to help prevent some of these actual overdose deaths, because addiction is a real thing. And a lot of times addiction is perpetuated because of desperation, poverty, and lack of community support. You notice a lot of people that are in wealthy families or have pretty healthy families that have major surgeries and have to take opioids, like for a knee or hip replacement, oftentimes don't find themselves addicted after their treatment. But you find a lot of people that are in desperate situations seeking substances, and then they stay in that cycle. So I think a lot of it is community organizations and proper funding for safe sites for people that have fentanyl and opioid addictions, and the poverty situation. That's a huge contributing factor.
Absolutely. All right, COVID-19 report for Western New York. Here it is. As it stands right now, 8,235 total have tested positive for COVID-19 in Erie County alone. 669 have died. As of Tuesday, 31 people in the county are hospitalized because of coronavirus. 8 are in intensive care. A high number of people between the ages of 20 and 29 are still testing positive. Mark Polikart, who is the Erie County executive, believes younger people aren't taking the virus as serious as older folks are. As of yesterday, 32 states are on the list as far as the travel advisory for New York. 32 states. Ooh. You are allowed to be in a state for 24 hours or less without having to quarantine after returning to the U.S. After returning to the New York State. Yes. We believe that individuals are catching COVID-19 in bars and restaurants. Remember what I just told you earlier about the bars and restaurant situation? Yeah. So, that's what I'm saying in a nutshell. I also got some news from a certain source that Erie County may even be thinking about reclosing the county in 2 weeks due to the increase in coronavirus in all of these other states. So it does not surprise me that New York State has 32 states now on its travel advisory. 32.
Some of those businesses won't be able to survive another shutdown. That's what's very sad.
Absolutely. Very, very saddening. In which, that is it for New York news today. That is it, actually, for bringing it full circle. We are done next week. Get ready. We got more news. Make sure you support us on Facebook and on Twitter. All right. Stephanie Tapley has done a phenomenal job this first week. Stephanie, how you feel about this first week?
I feel good. I wish we had more upbeat news, but I still feel good about the purpose. Let's say that.
Absolutely. And by the way, make sure you on purpose continue to support us. All right. On purpose, continue to support us. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Twitter. We greatly appreciate it. There is some breaking news real quick before we go. There is a Category 1 hurricane in the Atlantic, just east of Florida, supposed to be coming in over the weekend. Uh-oh.
Category what?
A Category 1. Category 1 hurricane in the Atlantic, just east of Florida this weekend. Be careful. Everyone that's living in those southern states, please be careful. This is bringing it full circle. By the way, we will have more news and information on that when we get it. We will see you. I'm Andre Robinson from Western New York.
I'm Stephanie Tapley, Dallas, Texas.
And we will see you next week. Thank you again.